Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
But you haven't.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Please clap.
There's insanity in the control room.
Who's got a hammer?
You all know what time it is. It's time for Run the Nation. Waldorf Nation. Jeff Waldorf here with you today. Just barely. A little late. We're still having some problems. A little insanity in the control room here. We've got some issues. We could use a hammer. I have been rebuilding my soundboard, Stream Deck, and turns out I think I've got a little bit bigger of a problem. Turns out I know I've got some other additional tech nerds in the audience, and so trying to figure out like what it means when your computer no longer takes to any driver updates. Whenever you try to update your drivers, error, nothing happens. Not just a specific driver, every single one. Every single one. So that already big problem. I don't quite know what to do about it, but it's not good. Very, very bad. Very sad. So there's going to be some issues until we get this resolved. There's going to be some big issues. Okay, that's really strange. Let's go here to... I seem to be missing something here. Yeah, seem to be missing something. Wait, does that work now suddenly? No. You see, I got problems. Look at that. That's weird. That's not supposed to happen. So I've got some strange computer issues going on here, which is again bad, very, very bad, sad. All right, so I'm just gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to do this manually. What do I need to fix it? I have no idea. So it means the slot that reads the drives is burnt out, says the franchise 2K. So wait, am I looking at a hard drive problem or a cable problem? That's what I'm trying to figure out. May need to get a new computer. It is new, but it could be let's see. I've already got a hard drive, a new hard drive on the way. but it's not going to be here till after Christmas. So I'm going to have to work on that. I don't quite know what the setup and what the show looks like until then. If I'm going to be able to do a show, who knows what else is going to happen, what else is going to break, but I know I've been having some very strange issues. When in doubt, blame it on Windows Update. Yeah, it is really hard to diagnose it over the internet. That is true. And yes, sometimes drives can be stupid and can not function correctly. And so I'm just going to have to deal with that. I'm just getting here in a network engineer, so what's the issue? Oh, yeah, well, I do have a show to get to, so I have a lot of stuff to get through. But just real quick, for those of you just popping in, I've been having, weird, BSODs during the show. So I've had a blue screen. Now I no longer have the ability to update any drivers at all. And so that's weird. And yes, my hard drive is showing errors that cannot be fixed. And so I'm going to replace the hard drive, but it's not going to be here for quite some time. So, or if it's not that, it must be one of the internet tubes is broken, because, the internet's a series of tubes and everything. And I just maybe need to replace the tube. Technical issues are always fun, aren't they? But anyway, no, I'm not going to burn it down and start again, because that's annoying. And there's so much stuff that I have set up and saved the way that I like it. And setting that up will take very, very long time to do. And it's very annoying. So, but anyway, I'm going to stop talking about computer issues, because we've got a lot of stuff to go through. And I'm fairly confident that I think I can get these things to work, hopefully. And so let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can go. All right. As you can see, I already have a sidebar up, because that's not working correctly either. All right. Over the weekend, Donald Trump and Bill O'Reilly finished up their terribly overhyped and underperforming failed tour, and it went out with pretty much the best way possible, with Donald Trump getting booed by his own fans.
Both the president and I are vaxxed, and did you get the booster?
Yes.
I got it too. Okay, so...
Don't. No. That's all. There's a very tiny group over there.
Oh, it's so good. The Schadenfreude. Oh, it tastes great. Yummy in my tummy. Look, I can't help myself. He is a terrible, terrible person. That said, he actually said some things about the vaccine that I think is good. I think it's good that he's saying these things. In fact, in the next video here, he's going to go and he's going to play up the vaccine. Take a look.
We did something that was historic. We saved tens of millions of lives worldwide. We, together, all of us, not me, we got a vaccine done, 3 vaccines done, and tremendous therapeutics like Regeneron and other things that have saved a lot of lives. We got a vaccine done in less than 9 months that was supposed to take from 5 to 12 years. Because of that vaccine, millions and millions of people, I think this would have been the Spanish flu of 1917, where up to 100 million people died. This was going to ravage the country far beyond what it is right now. Take credit for it. Take credit for it. It's a great, what we've done is historic. Don't let them take it away. Don't take it away from ourselves. You're playing right into their hands when you sort of like, oh, the vaccine. If you don't want to take it, you shouldn't be forced to take it. No mandates, but take credit, because we saved tens of millions of lives. Take credit. Don't let them take that away from you.
Okay, so the president made news.
Do you agree with that? Right?
Okay. Now, one small correction, of course. He and his supporters did not save lives. Science saved lives. Science saved lives through the vaccine. And again, through the development of these treatments for COVID, Regeneron, as he mentioned, it does work. Other things, not so much. For example, like ivermectin. But hey, you know what? All in all, go ahead and take the credit. If it helps just save one more person's life, he can take all the credit he wants. I really don't care. But besides, all the smart people, we know the truth. We know that it was science. We know that it was the scientists, not the pharmaceutical companies themselves, but the scientists that were actually doing the work that saved millions of lives. So, we know it. Great. Now, if he and his MAGA followers want to think, oh, yeah, it was us, yeah, we're so pro-vaccine. If it gets you to take it, I don't really care. Just do it. That's a net positive. Just take it already. Okay? Anything to get more people vaccinated and not die. You know what? Now, the newest news, Omicron has overtaken Delta. That quickly. You know how many months it took for Omicron? I'm sorry, not Omicron, but Delta to become the dominant strain in this country? And within a week or two, Omicron immediately, 73% of the new cases of COVID-19 are Omicron. Holy crap. That is really, really disastrous. So yes, get the vaccine, get the booster, get the booster. Donald Trump got the booster. Bill O'Reilly got the booster. And we know, but here's the thing, right? Yes, while I care about people getting vaccinated so that they don't get COVID and die, and it's because I'm tired of the death, I'm tired of the destruction, I'm tired of the families being torn apart, I'm tired of the hospitals being filled up to the brim with COVID patients, people on ventilators. I'm sick of seeing the carnage. And by the way, I'm also sick of the new variants. But Trump doesn't care about any of that, obviously, and we know this. We also know that during his battle with COVID, Trump was scared to death personally. And again, I think anybody in his position would be. I don't blame him for that. No. Look, an older guy, he's overweight, he had a hard time breathing when he got it, and he panicked. And he got the treatment. The whatever cocktail. I think it was probably the Regeneron cocktail. And so, yes, after that, he's like, oh, I don't want to go through that again. No, I'm gonna get the vaccine. I'm gonna get the vaccine. And then he gets the booster because he doesn't want to go through that again. And I wouldn't want to either. Totally fine. It makes sense, right? And I got the booster too over the weekend. It kind of knocked me out for a day, but I feel much better. And look, everybody should get the booster. Now, unfortunately, he got booed by his own people. And so that's because a lot of Republicans have made being anti-science a part of their identity, even outside of Donald Trump. I mean, the only times they seem to be pro-science is when they're using outdated studies to go after trans people or to push for, again, fake cures like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. You know that COVID study they love to, cite, the gigantic meta-study on ivermectin? That had to get thrown out because the studies on it were, one of the studies in it was rife with fraud. In fact, actually, there was about 2 studies that were rife with fraud. One of them used the same 11 patient records and just copied and pasted, duplicated them, so that it would give the appearance of a much larger sample size. And of course, it's like, oh, well, I mean, look at how effective ivermectin is. Look at that. Well, we did. We looked at it, and we found some very big problems with the methodology. Very big problems. Ivermectin, not a miracle cure. Hydroxychloroquine, not a miracle cure. Now, by the way, ivermectin, great if you have parasites. It could literally save your life if you've got, river blindness, right? Doesn't do anything when it comes to COVID-19, though. Neither does putting a light bulb up your butt, or, God forbid, drinking bleach, or the disinfectant, putting it into the lungs. I hear it just burns the COVID right out. No, none of that. Don't do any of that stuff. Ridiculous, stupid. Do what your hero, your cult leader wants you to do. Get vaccinated and get the booster. That's it. Now, here's the thing. As much as I had fun watching Trump getting booed, that's actually not the best part of the story. No, I saved the best part for last. Best part's what actually happened afterwards. In an interview with Dan Abrams on News Nation, O'Reilly later said that Donald Trump had personally phoned him after the event and was hurt by the crowd's reaction. I told him that today. He called me, said O'Reilly. Aw, did he get us sad? Did the booze hurt your very tender fifis? Is that what happened? Sad baby? Look, again, it would have been great had he come out at the beginning of the pandemic, or even when yes, he should have come out earlier in the beginning of the pandemic and took it seriously and actually had the government take things seriously. Would have been real nice. All right? But even if he had said, oh, wow, now I know things, now I know more about this virus, we know more about this virus, when the vaccine had come out and said, oh, everybody should get the vaccine, we strongly suggest that you should get the vaccine. He didn't do that. He didn't do that at all. Didn't do it at all. And so he downplayed it instead, downplayed the virus, didn't really take the vaccine all that seriously, didn't promote it, even though he had gotten the vaccine on the down low. And again, it's because he knows the big chunk of the MAGA base is anti-science and hates vaccines. They just hate it. And yet now, what's funny is he calls up O'Reilly and he's like, it's like Dr. Frankenstein saying, oh my God, I can't believe the monster that I created would ever attack me. I can't believe it. How could this happen? Nobody could have seen this one coming. Except for, everybody. Sad. Baby. Let me just add.
We'll do it live!
Okay. Anyway. Let's move on to more nonsense conspiracies. Let's be honest, his shitty supply chain management wouldn't know how to effectively distribute a vaccine, says Rachel L. Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. Noted. Okay. It appears that anti-5G conspiracy theorists are poisoning themselves with radiation. Wow. As if you didn't think that they could be dumber. Now, there are specific necklaces that are being sold, along with other accessories, some even for children, that contain hazardous, according to Gizmodo, ionizing radiation. And they're just wearing these because they think it'll protect them against the 5Gs. Why they would hate faster cellular connections, I have no idea. I think the 5G is fantastic. It helps me get my internets faster. And wonderful stuff. So I'll never quite understand. But anyway, according to other outlets as well, that have reported that the Dutch government has actually issued a warning that these necklaces and various accessories that are sold by, let's be honest, grifters, that supposedly shield you against 5G phone networks are highly radioactive and therefore very harmful. The Dutch Authority for Nuclear Safety and Radiation Protection, the ANVS, says that a pendant, a sleep mask, 2 necklaces, and 5 different bracelets, including one for children, were all given product alerts as a result of this ionizing radiation, and that people should stop wearing them and keep them carefully until instructions on how to return them are released. Okay then. Now imagine believing that 5G will be stopped by radiation and that somehow that's more dangerous than the radiation. Again, there's no factual reality showing that 5G is harmful at all. Again, no evidence of that. There was no evidence of the 4Gs or the 3Gs or any other Gs. There's no Gs. There's no dangerous in the Gs. Well, there is a G in dangerous, though. Oh, got you, libs. No, but again, this doesn't matter to conspiracy theorists and grifters online, because I think both of them share in one particular, I guess, goal. And that's making money. It's all about making money. And again, we've seen this before. This has been a thing before COVID. It's going to be a thing after COVID, of course. But right now, I think it's the worst that it's ever seen. Because, again, you've got people with big platforms now in an era with a lot of fear and uncertainty with the pandemic that has been going on. You have grifters and other people. And I'm not saying Joe Rogan's a grifter. Joe Rogan's just a very dumb person. Like, very, very gullible, I should say. Sometimes he's got good takes, and I'm loath to say that. Other times he has horrible takes, like on vaccines, like on trans people, like on a lot of different things, like on video games. Terrible, awful, awful takes. But he's got this gigantic platform and a bunch of dude bros that listen to him like, oh, yeah. We'll take the ivermectin. Yeah, that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. No, but it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't do anything. Not for COVID. Not for COVID. But again, not just that, right? You also have other prominent social media personalities on the right that are doing the same thing for clicks and views. Because guess what? During the times of fear and uncertainty, conspiracy theories sell very, very well. People are very, very interested in finding out alternative explanations. People go and seek out alternative facts during these times. And as such, they also seek out alternative treatments. And by the way, a lot of these conspiracy theories that are being trafficked right now in relation to COVID and 5G, I mean, again, those are linked. Some people think that 5G is giving people COVID. Insanity, somehow. Somehow the 5G towers are doing a virus through the air that actually simultaneously doesn't exist. I mean, none of it makes any sense. But again, facts don't matter when people are scared, when people are panicked, and when they lose trust in institutions. And people are buying into this quite literally. Literally. There are companies that are selling these things. One example is the company that sells the quantum pendant, which claims to give you certain health advantages, such as improved circulation and improved focus, while also, of course, giving you radiation poisoning from the ionizing radiation. Which, by the way, here's the result of wearing one of those. It can cause the electrons in your atoms to become unstable and to separate, which causes cell damage and long-term health issues such as cancer. It's also been found, according to Ars Technica, that wearing a necklace like this for so long would expose anyone to 21.9 millisieverts of ionizing radiation. In the United States, that's already half the maximum permissible radiation for a normal radiation worker. So you wear it for a long period of time, keep it on 24/7, and the symptoms will start to manifest from radiation poisoning. And you might have seen pictures from, for example, Hiroshima or Nagasaki after the atom bomb. And some of those very, very grotesque, not, in the immediate vicinity of where the bombs dropped, but in the outer lying areas, the places that were vaporized, but where the people were, exposed to large amounts of radioactivity. And even further still, where people had just been exposed to the outlying radiation and still managed to get sick as a result of that. That's what happens. You see those pictures, that's what radiation can do to a body. Do not wear these things. Don't wear radioactive material. It will not protect you from the 5Gs, okay? It will not protect you from cell phone coverage. I guess if you're really worried about that, don't use an iPhone or any phone. But I guarantee that most of these people are doing their own research sitting on the toilet with one of these. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's the quantum pendant, and it's whatever is in it uses or emits ionizing radiation. Okay, let's go to the Kool-Aid. All right. The weirdo QAnon sect that has been waiting in Dallas for the resurrection of JFK and JFK Jr. have become a danger to themselves. Numerous members of the family of a woman, according to the Daily Beast, who reportedly abandoned her husband and children in Delaware to follow a Trump-supporting QAnon leader named Michael Brian Protzman to Dallas, has been drinking a mixture of chemicals containing industrial bleach, among other chemicals, which she apparently distributes among the group. Already, this is a horrifying story. Not good at all. In fact, the outlet that first reported this was the Dallas Observer, said, she said to them, she was proud to tell us that she was the one mixing it up and giving it to everybody. One of the relatives told the outlet. So this is disastrous. Very, very bad turn. Very dangerous turn for a group of people who are already not right in the head. Just not right at all. Even for QAnon, these people are very, very troubled. All right? Very troubled. I mean, you have to be troubled in order to drop your family to wait for JFK Jr. to come back from the dead, because he is dead, to try to run for president, which I'm not even sure how that's going to work with Donald Trump on a QAnon platform, even though the whole purpose of QAnon, or the whole thing behind the QAnon conspiracy theory, is that it's the Democrats that are Satan-worshipping pedophiles that are eating children and drinking their blood or something like that. You realize JFK was a Democrat. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Nothing makes sense here. And by the way, again, this is no longer, and you know, some of these earlier stories, I was laughing at them, right? No, this is out of the realm of the comical, and it's now into the dangerous. It's into the dangerous. Now, let's get into more details, right? So now the woman had gotten into the QAnon movement back in 2018, according to her son, Sean Leake, who was unable to be reached by the Daily Beast on Monday. While the family didn't specify why the group was drinking a potent chemical mixture, they said that their relative is an ardent anti-vaxxer. She's always been into, you know, natural remedies, getting aluminum out of deodorant, things like that, Leake said in a December 10th interview, but that led to anti-vaxxing, and anti-vaxxing led to QAnon. So right there, I mean, that's the pipeline in action. That's the rabbit hole. The conspiracy rabbit hole, which is enhanced by social media algorithms. Since so much of our social media, by the way, is focused on engagement for profit, not for your profit, but for theirs, the algorithm is programmed to serve you up more and more what they consider to be engaging content, which happens to be content that enrages you, generally, makes you feel emotions. So the whole purpose is to get you to continue clicking, watching, and staying engaged. Now, grifters have figured out how to use that algorithm to make money by using conspiracy theories like anti-vax, QAnon. They do that by disseminating these conspiracies, racking up views, racking up revenue, and then, by the way, making their own stores, setting up their own online outlets, or, making deals with some of these grifters that are doing grift videos that sell dubious cures to convince people, or I should say, cures to people that they've already convinced will help them. That's who they're selling the cures for. So that's it. I mean, those things being, by the way, stuff that we've talked about in the show before. Colloidal silver. The radioactive pendants to try to protect people from 5G by, I guess, poisoning them with radiation. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine being used off-label for COVID when it hasn't been proven at all to have been effective for COVID. All of these things, according to the FDA, have not been approved for any of those uses. In fact, part of the Kool-Aid that they're handing out is something called chlorine dioxide. Now, according to the according to the FDA, has not been shown to be safe and effective for any use, including COVID-19. In fact, it's incredibly dangerous. Ingestion can lead to respiratory failure, potentially fatal abnormal heart rhythm, life-threateningly low blood pressure, acute liver failure, and the rapid destruction of red blood cells. Nonetheless, you have grifters out here that continue to keep selling it, calling it things like Miracle Mineral Solution, Miracle Mineral Supplement, Master Mineral Solution, and Chlorine Dioxide Protocol. So, look, it's straight up poison. And that's what it is. But that does not stop people from making a buck, because we live in capitalism. And so, in fact, here's a story. Members of a Florida family that were selling this chlorine dioxide through their Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing in Bradenton were arrested by federal agents in 2020 after reportedly earning more than $1 million in sales from their so-called miracle poison elixir. That's one of the ingredients, along with industrial bleach, that people are drinking in Dallas right now. Right now. I mean, it's really horrifying. Really horrifying to see what has been going on right now. And by the way, the person that's leading them is Michael Protzman. Michael Protzman is a 58-year-old QAnon so-called influencer who's also a Holocaust denier and who's also an alleged domestic abuser. This guy is a dangerous nut, according to his long arrest record. And again, his soon-to-be ex-wife, who's trying to get a divorce, he allegedly physically used physical violence against her. Now, he's leading a cult of people and getting them to drink poison. This is Jonestown 2.0. And unfortunately, I do not have a lot of hope that this is, going to end well. Okay? I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I've seen way too many stories of tragedy, of these cults and these cult leaders and these cultists, the people that follow them and drink the Kool-Aid. I have a feeling that this is going to end in tragedy. And I hope that there's something that we can do to prevent that. But I just don't know. What a disaster. All right. I'm telling you. The news is not good, folks. It's not good at all. Moving on. Switch away. Well, no, we're not switching from conspiracies. We got more. Of course we do. A formerly wealthy salon-owning Capitol rioter's life has been destroyed. By her own hand, of course. And it's partly thanks to her belief in conspiracy theories about the election and her belief in Donald Trump. According to a deep dive into the lives of 3 different Capitol rioters, the Intelligencer's Carrie Howley writes about a Beverly Hills salon owner who is now destitute as she faces 7 different counts to which she has pled not guilty. In fact, according to this story, Gina Bizignano was the owner of Gina's Eyelashes and Skincare in Beverly Hills prior to the arrest. Now, of course, afterwards, she is awaiting trial on counts ranging from disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building or grounds to engaging in a physical violence in a restricted building or grounds, among other charges. Her business, as a result of this, is no longer a business. In fact, it's shut down. It's gone. Whatever money she had is now gone, having been used in her unsuccessful legal defense, and she is now ultimately broke, unemployed, and could be facing potential prison time. Very likely. Very likely. And so now all of this is very much well-deserved. She was not disenfranchised. She was actually doing very well for herself. Again, a common refrain from certain people online, certain groups online, is that, oh no, the Capitol rioters, they were upset because they didn't get stimulus checks during the pandemic. That's the whole reason that they were upset, and they were upset that they were going to lose out economically. They were doing so poorly under Trump that they decided they wanted to keep Trump. Okay, fine. But no, it turns out that a lot of the people who participated were actually doing very well under Trump. Very strange that they would go with that narrative, especially when, if you're doing really, really well under Trump, I guess it would make sense that you would try to continue to do well under Trump. I guess. They really got to get their story straight. Let's just say that. But yet, even though she was doing very well, she decided, hey, I'm going to do an insurrection for Trump. Anyway, because, they're going to take America from me. That's what it is. Yeah, just take America from me. And by the way, she happened to be very, very proud of her part in that riot. So proud that she went on InfoWars to show the video of her on that day. In fact, that happened 2 days after the riot. And she went on there on InfoWars, and she had a good old time talking with, Alex Jones or whoever his kooky co-hosts are, or the people that take over for him. And, would you look at that? Now we have video evidence. Now we know who you are. Now you're going to get arrested. Oops. Oh, did we make that mistake? Oh no, did I just give up my identity by being a moron? Yes, you did. Oops. Oops. Now, that led to her arrest, but at first she was given bail. That did not last long. In fact, Howley reported that prosecutors appealed successfully and told the court this. Quote, her sincere belief in conspiracy theories and the absence of rational, evidence-based decision-making show that she is extraordinarily unlikely to accept the legitimacy of this court's orders. 100%. Now, that led to her bail being revoked. She then went and sat in a LA jail for some time. Again, all of this deservedly. I mean, after all, yes, she did not make good decisions, not based on facts or evidence, wasn't rational. What rational person thinks, oh no, there's a shadowy cabal of people that are drinking children's blood, and by the way, that same shadowy group is being fought by Donald Trump in secret, the guy who brags about doing every single thing, somehow fighting a war in secret against the cabal of pedophiles. Again, is somebody who flew on Jeffrey Epstein's jet many, many times and knew that he liked them young. That guy brags about everything. Didn't go and brag about fighting against the deep state. No, look, it's super weird. How could you believe someone like that? I have no idea. I have no idea. But there's no rationality. None. No evidence-based decision-making at all. At all. And so, yes, she went to jail and she deserved to be there. Now, she got moved from LA jail to a different place in Oklahoma. So, pretty far from home, right? Now, the lesson here is conspiracy theories, more often than not, end up not destroying the target of your conspiracy theory. Is the deep state destroyed? I mean, I guess, because it doesn't really exist. At least not in the way that they believe it does. You know, is the cabal of pedophiles defeated? There never was one. No, the people who end up getting destroyed by these conspiracy theories are the people that are carrying out violence on behalf of the conspiracy theories. It destroys you. By the way, there was no election fraud. No deep state out to stop Trump from winning using fraud. No Q, or FBI, whatever agents waiting in the wings to arrest Democrats and to do like a great reset. None of that happened. None of that happened. But what did happen is that a bunch of propagandized idiots got arrested and are being charged and put away. That's what's going on. All she did is throw away what was actually probably a pretty good life for a lie, for nothing. And by the way, it gets worse. According to Howley, by late February in Grady County, she had been imprisoned in one facility or another for over a month, during which she saw the sun exactly once. On the long day, where she was transferred from LA to Oklahoma, adding that a judge finally agreed to her supervised release as she awaited trial. Upon her release, the report states, Gina had no ID, no credit card, no way to get home, and it was not clear what she would do on the scrubby sidewalkless Oklahoma streets under which she was being dumped. Bizzanano was then taken in immediately by a woman only identified as Rachel, whose church friend had seen a post on Facebook about a woman who needed help. Rachel took Gina to a Sonic and placed a large Diet Coke in her hands before taking her to the 122-acre farm where she lived with her mother and father. Soon, Rachel would drive Gina to another home, to the home of a friend she knew from Martha Road Baptist Church. In this home, the kitchen would smell of cookies a man had made for his friends at work. A round woman would root around for clothes that would not fit her slim form, and the couple's autistic son David would give up his bed for her. She added Gina had not slept on a mattress in many weeks. In two big sweatpants tied at the waist, Gina stood in a boy's room in rural Oklahoma, beside his bed under a WWE poster. She crawled in, pulled the covers over her head, and wept. Sad baby. Wow. Now, let's be clear. I don't feel bad for her. Do you feel bad for her? I don't think you do. I don't think you do. But again, I don't expect you to feel bad for her, but I do expect for some, I hope some, take this lesson for what it is and see the lesson. Because understand that this is somebody who had the good life. She owned a business. She had good money. And she threw it away for nothing. For Donald frickin' Trump. And if you thought that she learned her lesson, no. She still says, I'm not guilty. I didn't do the things. I didn't do the things at all. So my guess here is that she is going to be held up by the right wing, by people like, I don't know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, as a victim. And maybe there's a little bit of truth to that, because things aren't black and white. Things are gray. But understand that, and by the way, let me explain a little bit further into how she could be victimized, right? She's a victim of conspiracy theories, the right-wing media echo chamber. But at the same time, she holds culpability here. Culpability. You know why? Because she was there. Nobody forced her to ignore facts, to ignore the reality, to not do actual research. Nobody forced her into that building on that day. She was there of her own volition to try to overturn a lawful election of the United States of America. To do an insurrection on behalf of a narcissistic moron who has almost never told the truth in his life. No, I don't expect you all, anyone, to feel sorry for her. And I hope you don't. By the way, no one is also forcing her to miss any of her scheduled hearings, which she has. In fact, according to an order signed by Judge Carl J. Nichols, she was supposed to go to a hearing on December 14th, but decided, just going to skip out. Nope, not interested. Here's what the judge wrote. This is not the first timely attendance has been a problem in this case. Additional failures to appear timely will be looked upon even more unfavorably. And there it is. So, look, at the end of the day, this is a cautionary tale of a person who had it all, but then decided they were going to fuck around. And at the end of the day, you know what happens to those who fuck around? They find out. All right. Let's switch this around. We'll save the fun, stupid Christmas story for afterwards. But first, we have another disastrous story. A truck driver involved in a horrific freak accident is getting support after being sentenced to prison for an unbelievable amount of time. So now, 22-year-old Cuban immigrant Rogel Aguilera Medeiros was driving a semi-tractor trailer in April 2019 when he lost control of the vehicle and ultimately caused a 28-car pileup. Now, 4 people were killed in that pileup, unfortunately, and a lot of people were injured. Now, he was charged for that and found guilty on 42 different counts, including vehicular homicide, extreme indifference, assault, and reckless driving. Now, because of the number of counts in which he was found guilty, he was subject to mandatory minimum sentencing laws under guidelines under Colorado law. His sentence is 110 years in prison. And he's 22 years old. And if this sentence holds, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. So that's it. I mean, the guy's life's over, right? I mean, yes, as it seems so far, it is. Now, again, there were real victims here. Again, 4 people were killed in this crash, and this is something that he's got to live with for the rest of his life. Now, of course, what was going on here is there culpability in his hands? A little bit, and I'll explain that. District Court Judge Bruce Jones said that his hands were tied when it came to the sentencing, but said that he had made a series of terrible decisions, reckless decisions, referring in part to speeding. So he had sped, he did not go into a lane for trucks that have lost control, I guess. There's a lane where that slows people down, but at the same time, he also had a malfunction in his truck. The brakes wouldn't work. The brakes did not work correctly. And so this runaway truck ramp might helped him to slow down to avoid hitting any cars. But at the same time, you're going to give somebody 110 years for an accident. Again, he's made mistakes, sure. But 110 years worth of mistakes? This is horrifying. And by the way, here's the thing. The trucking industry, I think, deserves a huge amount of the blame for this. Again, what I know from the trucking industry is that it's quite brutal. In fact, trucking is actually the 7th deadliest job in the country. And it varies from year to year. But truck drivers have actually reported the highest number of casualties in 2019, an astounding 1,005, and have a fatal injury rate of 27 per 100,000 workers. So that's, I mean, considering the amount of trucks that we have on the road and how much, I mean, we're in the middle of a supply chain crisis. And so I think a lot of you have probably noticed how much, this country depends on trucking, on freight transport. And so now the working conditions for truck drivers are actually quite terrible. Drivers complain of low pay, long hours, and an industry that treats them like cannon fodder. While labor economists and trucking experts describe the industry as one where deregulation and constant pressure to deliver goods at ever cheaper prices has resulted in working conditions so poor and pay rates so low that they amount to what is considered to be indentured servitude. A lot of truck drivers, especially ones who are newly minted, right, are suckered into it. So now there's companies that are like, oh, we're going to train you. We're going to train you to be a truck driver, but you got to sign up for a year. Now, what they don't tell you is that in order to get trained, they charge normally somewhere around $8,000. So if you don't sign up to drive truck for a year and sign a contract, you'll be charged $8,000 to reimburse them. That's a scam. Now, of course, as a result, companies that train these drivers have turnover after a year of about 100%. So almost all the truck drivers that they recruit leave after a year because the conditions are so god-awful in the industry. Disgusting, right? And so now others get roped into worse schemes, like the owner-operator scheme, in which they have to lease their trucks from the company itself. And so if you're not moving freight, because people get paid by the mile, if you're not moving, you ain't making any money. And so it turns out that you have an incentive where the more you deliver, the faster, the more you make. That incentivizes speeding, which is what this young man had done, not taking breaks, because, you can't meet deadlines if you're sitting. You don't take breaks. You don't get adequate rest, which again impacts your mileage. By the way, when they get there too, you don't get paid for when they're offloading their truck or when they're putting things on the truck. And sometimes they're pretty long wait times. You're not getting paid for that. You ain't getting paid unless you're moving. And so all of this creates terrible work conditions that push drivers into constantly driving, whether or not they're tired and it makes them speed or at least incentivizes them to speed, and then not use restrooms. It harms their health because of constant sitting. And so, and not only that, but again, these conditions create accidents as well. And so, yes, there's that. Now, if you combine that with poor oversight of the industry itself, some of these companies don't maintain their trucks the way that they should. All right. And by the way, owner-operators also do not yet, sometimes are not able to keep up with the maintenance on these trucks because of how expensive they are to repair. And so what happened here is that this person, he ended up with brakes that had malfunctioned. So here he is going along, and yes, he's speeding because he's trying to make rate, and he's trying to get there on time, and then, oh no, my brakes don't work, or they don't work that they're supposed to. And then an accident. One thing happens, one thing leads to another, and you have a massive pileup, and people lose their lives. It's horrible. Now, add in the fact that there was no drugs or alcohol involved in this. He was not impaired. Yes, there was a little bit of carelessness, but I think driven by the industry. But yet, this man gets 110 years in prison as a result. That's horrifying. You take all these facts together, this case, and now you have over 4 million people signing a change petition saying, let him go. Let this guy go. You're really going to imprison him for the rest of his life? This Change.org petition had requested that Aguilera Medeiros be released and have his sentence commutated as time served, and it's reached about 4.5 million signatures since he was sentenced last week. The petition reads, "This accident was not intentional, nor was it a criminal act on the driver's part. No one but the trucking company he is/was employed by should be held accountable for this accident. No, we are not trying to make it seem any less of a tragic accident than it is because, yes, lives were lost. We're trying to hold the person who needs to be held responsible. The trucking company has had several failed inspections since 2017. They have found mechanical violations in their trucks, meaning they do not maintain them the way that they're supposed to, probably because of costs, to try to save money. These companies cut corners to save money, and that causes death. And when that happens, are the trucking companies liable? No. No, it comes down to the driver. Because of course it does. Of course it does. And I'm going to put the link in the description for this petition, by the way, for you to sign. Now, in addition to the call for clemency or commutation, some truckers have actually decided, we're just not going to deliver to Colorado. We're going to refuse to enter the state of Colorado. I've got a couple of those responses here. One person says, I really hope no trucks to Colorado protest causes economic and supply chain issues. Free Rojo Aguilera Medeiros. Fuck this Jim Crow era justice system. Another person says, I think that's dope, them truck drivers refusing to go to Colorado, because ain't no way in hell that dude was supposed to get 110 years for something out of his control. And by the way, one truck driver, David Splain, tells CBS Denver, quote, it's unbelievable, honestly, because it could happen anytime, anywhere. If the brakes fail, the brakes fail. It's a malfunction. Now, even if you agree that he made some mistakes, 110 years, that's insane. They didn't just throw the book at him. They threw the entire library. And by the way, one more here, tweet from social media. Mexican rug dealer, which by the way, fantastic name, makes a great point. Points out that Ethan Couch killed 4 people while driving drunk. His blood alcohol level was 0.24. afterwards, he fled the country, was caught, sent back, and was given not jail time, 10 years of probation, and then 720 days in jail for violating probation. Whereas this guy, I mean, that has an accident, and it's horrifying, by the way. Kills 4 people, but gets 110 years in prison. I wonder what the difference here is. I wonder what the difference is. Maybe it could be a racist two-tiered justice system? Maybe. Either way, the time that he has spent in jail for this, and the amount of, I mean, just the amount of sorrow that he has to go through, knowing that he had killed 4 people, that's going to stay with him the rest of his life. The guy suffered enough. Let him go. Just let him go. Again, sign the petition. All right. Moving on. Let's go to a little bit more of a nonsense story. Palate cleanser, if you will. Because this is just depressing. I drove semis for 15 years and mistakes happen all the time. True. And, you know, I don't think you should get 110 years in prison for it. Just horrifying. All right. Let's go to Fox News. Fox Insanity. The hosts of Fox and Friends were talking about inflation when it suddenly went to a discussion about the nativity scene and the Bible and Jesus, and that's where it got weird.
I know we had this conversation before, but were the animals used, their breath used to heat Jesus? Remember, the animals would go around because it was so cold in Bethlehem. Thank you. Right. I get them confused. So cold at that time, the animals breathed on them to keep them warm.
You get confused between Bethlehem over there and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Exactly. And Kunkelstown, where we bumped in on. But what was I going to say? Do you ever think about this? Why we
hold on a second. So you're talking about the animals kept him warm
by breathing on him.
Keep in mind the story. I'm sure you remember this. The reason they were in the essentially the stable was because there was no room at the inn.
That's right.
Right. They didn't choose the
right. They weren't there because there were animals going to breathe on them.
All right, but they ended up working out.
I hadn't heard that. I didn't read that passage in the Bible.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't read that passage in the Bible. It wasn't in there. Wow. Okay. Wow. First of all, there's so much here that's just. Why are we talking about animals breathing on baby Jesus like a heater? What is going on here? What is this? What is this conversation that is happening on Fox News? What is going on? How is it that millions of people watch that show and are like, yep, yeah, definitely. I always wondered the same thing. Were the animals, were the horsies breathing on baby Jesus and acting like a heater? Very, very pertinent questions. Oh, yes. I'm dying. I'm dying to know. I have to know. I have to know. Oh. Now, believe it or not, this conversation gets dumber.
is there anything, I give them full credit for overcoming the capacity of the holiday season and finding a manger to have the baby.
That's right. It wasn't a holiday yet.
That's true.
Yes.
It would eventually be a
holiday
in his honor.
Because of Jesus.
But there was a lot of people shopping.
Yes, and well.
For a hotel.
Yeah.
Because it's
fleeing.
Future holiday.
Yeah.
There's a future holiday.
Fleeing persecution.
Because of the star indicated that there'll be a holiday coming soon.
There was an event around that time. Where people were gathering.
That's right.
But if you're having a baby,
census.
if you're worried about a baby, the last thing you want is a drummer. Like, who brought the drummer boy? Like, I mean, we finally got the baby settled down, and this kid's playing the drum all day, right?
Right. Oh, and they said that there was a 50% price increase in turtle doves specifically this year. I don't know why.
What are turtle
But there's
doves?
a run on turtle doves.
Oh my God. Hey, it's a future holiday, everybody. That's why they were shopping. But I mean, shopping for in the rooms, but they were shopping because they knew they knew it was going to happen because the star told them. And do you even listen to yourself? Do you understand the things that you're saying are insane? Like this is a news show? Is this what nobody knew it was going to be a holiday? Nobody knew. Probably because the thing probably never happened. No evidence of that. None at all. None at all. Oh, why are you assaulting my brain cells with this? Why are you doing this to me, Fox News? Why? And by the way, you might be like, well, why did you watch it then? Because you know what? I can't help it. If I see something that is so fucking stupid and banal, I have to react to it. So I guess this is all my fault. But I saw it. Now you have to see it. You're welcome. This is like an accident. Okay? You know you shouldn't watch it. You know you should just keep on going. Okay? And let the experts, in this case, you have to be the people with the white coats that would go into Fox News headquarters and be like, all right, that's it, Brian. You're coming with us. You've run long enough. But you can't look away. You can't. You can't do it. This is a train wreck. I mean, you're going to crash my brain's operating system. Go on. Wow. By the way, Jesus, I mean, look, if Jesus existed at all, fun fact, right? He wouldn't have been born in December. I mean, by most accounts, ironically, Jesus allegedly was born on, of all days, January 6th. Fun. Now, it turns out, historically, by the mid-4th century, the birthday celebration for Jesus, again, somebody we don't necessarily know actually existed, was moved to December 21st. Now, some argue, 25th. Some argue that this was due to the pagan tradition to try to co-opt them. Others say it's because it was first recorded in the mid-4th century Roman almanac, which had listed the death dates of important figures, but then also with the births, and they somehow attributed Jesus' birth to December 25th. I have no idea. I have no idea. Nobody knows, because nobody knows if Jesus was actually real. Why this conversation happened? Why this happened on Fox News during a conversation about inflation of all things. Inflation of all things. This comes up. I have no idea. No idea. And by the way, interesting little fun fact, right? January 5th and December 25th and January 6th, the days in between them, those are considered to be the quote-unquote 12 days of Christmas. I didn't actually know that until I did the research in the story. I was like, oh, that's kind of fascinating. Ultimately, okay, whatever. Understand that my brain is filled with completely unusable facts and figures that that are not really important. But nonetheless, there it is. Fun fact. 12 days, that's where the 12 days of Christmas came from. The things that you learn from watching train wreck Fox News segments. You're welcome. Oh my God. Okay. That's it. That's all the stories I've got. So now, let me read some super chats here. Ronnie Lama Richardson says, to the merriest of Christmas and holidays to you. I valued you for so many years. Stay real. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Same to you. Happy holidays. Mark Davis says, I thought the internet was a truck. I don't know where you would get that idea. Where's the meme? There's got to be a meme in there somewhere, and I just don't know it. I don't know the meme. Gabby Mathis says, sorry about your technical issues. Get your technical issues fixed, and I'll be back. All right, I got you. What's my schedule this week? Assuming tech issues abate, which I don't know if it will, I'm going to try to keep working on things and find some workarounds and hope that no big things crash. Till Thursday. And then off on Friday. And then back on the following Monday. And I think New Year's Day, we might be off. Maybe New Year's Eve, but I'm not entirely sure. So just give me a couple of days to figure that one out as well. Gabby Mathis, again, thank you for the very kind $20. Dango Bango has some interesting thoughts on a certain YouTuber whose name shall not be mentioned. Let's see. Did the story about Trump's anti-Semitic remark in regards to who controls Congress, the one that confirms Trump's a you-know-what. I saw that story yesterday. I haven't had a time to really work on that. But I mean, I think at this point, Trump's anti-Semitism is, pretty well known. Quite well known. Joe Rogan's a grifter, same as Tucker Carlson. I just think Joe Rogan's an idiot. Now, is it imperceptible to some people? I can understand why. But I think there's a difference between an idiot and a grifter, even though they basically do the same thing. Rogan is both. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm a longshoreman. Who informed you of the Dallas story? I think there was somebody on Twitter, that might have alerted me to that story. I think you know who you are. You know who you are. Let's see. D says I'm a longshoreman. They get paid $50 to $60 a move. Okay. I'm not sure. Is that good or bad? I'm not familiar with the work that longshoremen do. Let's see. Was that Kilmeade? He likes to be breathed on by animals, or just like watching babies be breathed on by animals. That is so wrong. Not January 6th, June or July 6th. No. Seriously, I have heard that as well, June or July. But this is like according to the Roman writings. The mid 4th century Roman almanac says January 6th. And so, again, that's according to that. But there are others, and I have seen the June or July 6th as well as the possible birthday. But we don't know. We don't know. And the whole thing is just very absurd when you look at it. And then, Jules T, thank you so much. Cheers for 2021. 2021, kind of terrible. Truck drivers, too. Get paid 50 to 60 a move. I mean, it depends on who you work for, I would assume. But a lot of companies right now have not been paying very well at all. Sheep were giving birth when Jesus was born at spring. Again, this is all alleged. All alleged. Because it's fable. Yeah, Julie Swenson says, who cares? The Bible's full of BS anyway. Again, yeah. Rates vary greatly between companies. Yeah, you might have found a really good one if you're getting paid a decent amount for a load. And certainly there is, and by the way, there's not a shortage of truckers. There is there's plenty of truckers, but I don't think there's enough companies that give out good enough rates. And so that's what I've been reading about this. Who knew that if you repeat a story over and over thousands of times, it gets distorted? True. Facts. Okay. Anyway, that's it for Super Chat. Thank you very much. Very, very kind of you. In general, truck drivers do not get paid well, says Kalisha789. That's what that's what I've been reading. Oh, by the way, yes, great news. The Kellogg strike is over. So there's a new contract, and it gets rid of that awful two-tiered pay system where they would pay legacy employees obviously better, those who have been there for a long time, the seniority pay, and then new hires will get nowhere near that pay, even if they stay there for 9+ years. And so that they got rid of that. And so there's other provisions in there. I should probably do more details in a story probably tomorrow when I have the details in front of me. But so far, a lot of labor activists are saying that this is a good deal, that this is good, and that the union got what they were asking for, and the workers got what they were asking for, and that's fantastic. And you know what helped too? It turned out the scab labor, not good at all. Who would have known? Who would have known that hiring scabs off the street would not be as good as actual workers? Because I remember doing the story with you all, that the 1,400 workers that were striking were fired by Kellogg's, and that they were going to hire the scabs on full time, and the scabs kept fucking up so hard, so much on the cereals, that the people that bought them were constantly sending in reports of products that were, very, very publicly sending them on social media to embarrass the company. And so, that's great. That's great. So they basically embarrassed Kellogg openly by saying, look at this terrible product your scab workers are putting out. This is a disaster. You embarrass them, you hurt their share prices, their stock prices, and they were forced to go back and actually negotiate for a fair contract. And I think that's wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful. The John Deere scabs executives screwed up really badly too with equipment accidents. Yes. Hey, it turns out that you actually do need your highly trained unionized workforce because they do a good job. And if you hire scabs off the streets, they're not going to do a good job, and they're actually going to harm your company way more if you don't treat them fairly. Kellogg contract has a poison pill, no shutdowns until 2026. Workers should not agree and contribute to strike for a contract without a poison pill. Well, again, this is more up to the union and up to the workers. If they thought that was a good enough idea for the trades that they were getting from the contract itself, then I'm not going to be one to argue too much with what they've decided, given, again, if they understand what they're giving up and the gains, because there is, of course, a negotiation. But hey, at least there was a negotiation, and at least they got most of what they were asking for. But I understand your concern, though, and that is a good point and a good concern to bring up. Let's go to Twitch here. Regular Mole Rat Dragon, by the way, resubbed for 3 months with Prime. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, I'm way out of time, y'all. And again, it's because I started very, very late. And so I've got a lot of editing to do and not a lot of time. So I'm not going to have the videos up on time because I've been, because it's almost 6 already. And my videos usually start going up about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so, we got a deal. We got a deal. And so those will be up later. Please like and share. And by the way, I need to post that change.org petition for you all before you head out. And that's pretty important to do. So let's go there. And I'll put that in the description. I'll put that in the chat here. And then in the description of the video that I put out on it, I'll have that in that description as well. So let me just find that. Here we go. Here we go. All right. There's that. And it should be, all of you should hopefully have gotten that message. Hopefully, there it is. All right, so please go check that out. Sign that petition, share it around. If you want to see some justice for this young man. It's a horrible story. Horrible, horrible story. All right. That's it. Thank you all. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully see you tomorrow if you don't have any more tech problems. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you all later on. Have a fantastic night.
We'll do it live!
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Beta bear! Beta!
Oh man, I'm sorry.
I like my new type.
Give me a break.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.